Hello. Thank you for joining my colleague, Steve Williams, and myself, Christopher Townsend, as we take some time to provide you a general overview of the Enterprise Reports function within PowerSchool. A few notes before we begin this training. This video is designed to be a prerequisite to joining one of our Enterprise Reports Overview Q&A PowerHour sessions. If you're watching this video and have additional questions, please look at our events calendar on the Meta Solutions website to sign up for a Q&A session. Our member districts can also submit a case to us at ps.support@metasolutions.net for district-specific support on this issue. We're going to be focusing on 3 topics during this presentation. First, we're going to define what is an enterprise report in PowerSchool. Next, we're going to walk you through how to configure security roles so that you as a district leader have proper access to create and modify reports that can best help your district. We're also going to advise you on how to create a security role that you can provide to other colleagues that will allow them to view the reports that you publish for their needs. Finally, we'll walk you through the Enterprise Report interface and how you can use it to add, modify, and publish saved and filtered reports. By the end of this session, users should feel confident navigating the Enterprise Reporting interface and utilizing its features to support data-driven decision-making in their schools or districts. So, without further ado, let's begin. Before we can effectively configure and navigate within enterprise reports, it's important to first understand what is an enterprise report. Enterprise reporting in PowerSchool is a dynamic, feature-rich reporting tool coded in SQL and built on the Oracle Application Express or APEX platform. These reports allow users to access both pre-built and custom reports for data analysis and decision-making. The system provides interactive reports that can be filtered, searched, and customized to meet specific needs. Unlike PowerSchool's core system reports, enterprise reports offer dynamic data views that can be used for analyzing many different data sets, such as student performance, attendance, and other key metrics. Users can differentiate between pre-built reports provided by PowerSchool and custom reports created by administrators or developers. The flexibility and depth of enterprise reports make them a valuable tool for administrators, data specialists, and educators seeking to leverage the SIS data for strategic planning and decision-making. With that understanding of enterprise reports in mind, let's discuss how to configure access to this tool in the SIS. We recommend that you create at least 2 security roles within your SIS to best meet the needs for everyone that may have use for enterprise reports. The first role is Administrator Enterprise Report Access. Be aware some districts may already have this role labeled as something similar to Meta Enterprise Report Access. This would allow complete access to enterprise reports. With this access, not only can you view reports, but you can also create, modify, and delete them. This access is best reserved for Meta staff, district leaders, or data analysts who are very familiar with the Enterprise Report tool. The next role, or roles, are view-only Enterprise Report access roles. These will have more restricted access and only allow for the viewing of published enterprise reports within specific report categories that access has been granted to. This access can be tailored to meet the needs of the users and the functions they are responsible for. These are the appropriate roles to provide to all other administrative staff who may have a use case for viewing enterprise reports within the SIS. Let's start with the steps you'd want to take to enable Administrator Enterprise Report access. First, from the District Start page, navigate to System Management, Security, User Roles. On the User Rules screen, select User Access. Once you're on the User Access Rules screen, search the existing access roles to verify if you already have an existing Administrator Enterprise Report role. It may be named something similar to Meta Enterprise Reports. If so, click on the name for that role. If not, click on the New tab at the top right of the Access Roles list. Whether you clicked on an existing report's name or clicked to create a new role, you should now be in the Edit User Access Role screen. On this screen, in the Definition tab, you'll want to verify the role name. You can also change the existing name on this screen or enter a name if you're creating a new role. It's also important to note on this page the toggle button for Enabled. In order for the role to be used, this button will need to be checked. Once you've addressed these items, be sure to click the Submit button at the bottom of the screen. Always remember, if you didn't click Submit, it didn't happen. Once you've submitted these changes, click on the Enterprise Reporting tab within the Edit User Access Role screen. Within the Enterprise Reporting tab, for your Administrator Enterprise Reporting Access role, you'll want to click on the setting Manage Enterprise Reports. You'll notice that this setting will gray out all of the settings below it. This is because it grants full access to all reports, including the ability to add, modify, and delete reports. This box should only be enabled for the access role that is granting full administrator access. Once you've enabled this box for your Enterprise Reports Administrator role, be sure to click Save. For each subsequent Enterprise Report Access role that you want to create for your district, repeat the steps you have just followed. When you get to the Enterprise Reporting tab, instead of selecting Manage Enterprise Reports, click on the Allow User Access button and then check each box below to select the Enterprise Report categories that are applicable for the access role you're configuring. Once you've completed configuring all of the Enterprise Report roles for your district needs, you'll want to assign these roles to the appropriate staff. Now, I'm going to hand this training over to my colleague, Steve Williams, who's going to spend some time walking you through how to navigate within Enterprise Reporting and the filters and functions that are available.
In this video, we are going to learn to navigate to, run, and learn how to filter and distribute enterprise reports. The goal here for our newer users is to introduce them to the functions of enterprise reporting. And for our experienced users, this will be a good refresher course for the full functioning of enterprise reporting. We're going to jump right in and do a few activities. I am going to be in a PowerSchool trained database. You may want to log in your own system and follow along. So once we have logged in and I am in PowerSchool trained database, from your start page, we're going to navigate to enterprise reporting by clicking on data reporting here on the left, and then reports, and then enterprise reports. This should bring you to a list of enterprise reports. If you do see an error message or there are no reports listed, I advise you to go back and read the documentation and make sure you have your user access rules set up correctly. Otherwise, you won't be able to get to this screen to do anything. Within each report category, any published reports assigned to that category will appear in a list. If a category does not have any reports assigned to it, the category will not appear on the Enterprise Report tab. As an administrator with access to manage enterprise reporting reports. You also see any reports that have been added to enterprise reporting but have not yet been published. Published reports are indicated by this green check mark over here on the right. You also have options to add a new report, to change the description or category of a report. You have an option to unpublish a report and remove a report altogether from this page. Note, removing a report from this screen does not delete the report from the system. Those reside on the Apex Oracle server. You can view any existing reports that reside on this Oracle server by clicking this Add button on the right here. And then this drop down, these are all the available reports. If you remove it from this enterprise reporting screen, that report becomes available in this drop down to add it at a later time if you choose to do so. And here is the description box. If you're adding a report or modifying an existing report, you can put a description here in this box. This drop down shows you the list of all available categories. Initially, enterprise reports only had 6 categories, but they've since added 5 for a total of 11. And then here is your not published or published. The reason we have a not published is if you're maybe tweaking the report and publishing a saved report, something like that we'll get into later. So let's close this for now. To view a report, you're going to click on the report name over here on the left, such as student demographics. So if we click on this and it loads, you'll see that the default view is a data grid that consists of a table of rows and columns. Later in this course, you will learn how to customize a report by choosing the sorting, filtering, and formatting options for the report. So we'll close this for now. In our next activity, we're going to display the year-to-date absences by grade report because it consists of a graph that is connected to a data grid. And we're going to view the report to see how it is different from other reports. You can use this report to get an idea of the different types of reports that can be created in Apex and published to the enterprise reporting. So we're going to view it by clicking on the name, year-to-date absences by grade. And because we're dealing with absences, we need to select a building. So I'm going to select my Apple Grove High School, and you want to select a year. And when you run this, you're going to instantly see a pie chart that's broken down by grade levels within that building. And if you click on a grade, you'll see that the data grid shifts to account for the grade level of students that you have selected. Kind of nifty tool. So we'll close this for now. Enterprise reporting reports include many built-in features you can use to customize and share reports. Each report has default columns and settings, but you can customize a report and save the modified report as a new report. And let's explore some of the ways you can customize reports to meet your needs. The data grid reports do not show every available column for that report. You can change which columns appear on a report by hiding a default column or by adding another column to the report. You can also change the order in which the columns appear on the report. So we're going to use the column heading menu to hide a default column, use the select columns option in the action menu to view which columns are available for the report, add or hide a column on the report, or change the order in which the columns appear on the report. On the student attendance report, we're going to use the column heading menu to hide the school column and use the select columns action to add the gender column to the report. To do that, we're going to click on the student attendance report, and you'll see the default view. I'm going to point out really quickly that this rows, I like to increase that to about 100. That way I get a more ideal snapshot of what's going on with all my data. It's just a little tip for you. So to hide the school column, we're going to click the school column heading to open the column heading menu and select the hide column is the one with the X on it. So if we click on the school, you'll see these options here. That's a sorted descending or sorted ascending, sorted descending. This is to hide the column. This is a control break, which we'll get into. So if we click on this, this column disappears from the default layout. Now, to view available columns and add another column to the report, we're going to open the Actions menu and select Columns. So we click on this and select Columns. You immediately see the columns on the right are the ones that are available or that are presently appearing on the report. The ones on the left are columns that are available to you, and you can add them by clicking on the name. So we're going to add the gender column by clicking gender and hitting the right arrow, meaning it's going to go to the right, and we're going to click apply. And you'll immediately see it's thrown over here on the last column on the right. So now we have a column that's labeled gender. Now, to save your customized report by opening Action menu and clicking Save Report. So we're going to click on this and we're going to Save Report. And when you save this, you want to give it a name that reflects any possible change, like you want to say student attendance by gender or something like that. And then you choose here whether or not you want people to see it or not, or, by clicking public and clicking apply. By default, each report is sorted by a column indicated by a sort order icon next to the column heading. Change the sort order of a report by selecting the column heading to open the column heading menu. Then choose the sort ascending or sort descending icon to select the sort order. Filter the data for a particular value in a column by clicking the column heading and choosing the value under Filter. This will create a more robust filter using the filter options in the Actions menu. Our next activity, we're going to open up the student incident report and see that the students are sorted by name, student's name in ascending order. We're going to change the sort order of the report to sort by grade level, then use filtering options to filter report for male students in only grades 11 or 12. So let's click on the student incident. Again, I'm going to expand it to 100 records. This time we're going to click the grade level column heading. Opens up the menu. This is ascending, descending order. That was the hide column that we learned about. So if we click the down arrow, this is descending. So now we have grade 12 that are displaying first. Now we're going to further sort it in the Actions menu. This time we're going to click Filter. And we are going to select, we only want the males. And then in your drop down, these are the genders available to you. So we're going to select M and apply. So now we have grade 12 first, only the boys that are showing. Now we only want particular grade levels of 11 or 12. So again, we're going to, in the Action menu, we're going to select Filter. This time we're going to select grade level, and our operator this time we are going to say that are greater than 10. Click apply. So now you see the filters of males and grade level greater than 10, descending order. So you would have your grade 12 first, and then your grade 11 after that. Let's say that you only want to filter for currently active students. By default, all of the pre-built reports show data for all students. Report builders typically publish a broad set of data so that report users can decide how to filter the results to meet their needs. This way, one report can meet the needs of a greater number of users instead of publishing additional reports. You may want to filter your report for only currently enrolled students. In that case, you create a filter for enrollment status. A column does not need to appear on the report to use it for a filter. However, you may want to make note of the filter and the report name or description if you choose to save your customized report, as we discussed earlier. To filter a report for currently enrolled students only, when viewing the report, we're going to open up the Actions menu. We're going to select Filter again. This time we're going to select Enroll Status. And active students are obviously 0. And we're going to apply that. This now shows only your active student males with grade level greater than 10. Let's say you don't like any of your filters and you just want to go back to the beginning. To reset your report, again, in your Actions menu, just click on Reset, and it takes away all of your filters. Click Apply. So you're back to where you started when you first ran the report, the default report. Now we're going to learn to group data with a controlled break action. We can group rows by each value in a column. For each value, the report creates a heading and displays the related rows of data below the heading. For example, in the student grades report, we can group the data by student so that the report lists each student name once, followed by all the rows pertaining to that student. To group the report by values in the column on the report, we can click the column's heading to open the column heading menu and select the control break icon, which is the last one in the heading menu. To create more complex grouping from the Actions menu, we can open the Format menu and select Control Break. We can filter the report for Apple Grove High School, then hide the school column on the data grid, add the school year column to the data grid, and change the column order. Finally, we're going to group the report by student name. So let's click on the student grades. We're going to click on, let me expand this first. We're going to click on the school column. We are going to select only high school, so this will immediately filter out all other buildings. Now we are going to hide the column altogether. Now to view the available columns, once again, in their Actions menu, we'll select columns. You'll see the ones being displayed over on the right and on the left. These are all the available columns given to us. To add a school year column to the report, we are going to scroll down and find school year and click it on the right and then hit apply. Now, to change the column order, click the up-facing arrow on the right until school year appears before the store code. So you see when we added it, it threw it on the right. So now if I select columns again, and then click on school year, and instead of going to the left, we're going to go up. So we hit the up arrow until school year is next to store code. Then we'll hit apply, and you'll see that now the school year moves over next to the store code. To group the report by student name, we're going to click the last first column. And instead of hiding, we are going to hit Control Break on the far right. And as you see, when it does that, it groups by student. If you scroll down to the next student, and then any record pertaining to that student will be in an individual row under that student. And then we are going to save our report again by clicking the actions, clicking save. And then once again, when you save this as a report, you want to make reference to any changes, stored grades by student or something to that effect. The next thing we're going to do is show how to aggregate calculations at the end of a report or a group. For a column on a report, we're going to use the aggregate action to display the sum, average, count, distinct, minimum, maximum, or median of the column's values. If the report includes control breaks or grouping, the aggregate calculation will appear at the end of each group. If the report does not include control breaks, then the aggregate calculation will appear at the very end of the report. So we're going to use control break and aggregate to create a homeroom list. We can customize the student demographic report to create a homeroom list for each teacher with a total count of students per class. So on the Enterprise Reporting tab, we're going to select Student Demographic. We're going to open the School column heading menu and filter for just Apple Grove High School. Now, to change the columns that appear on the report, again, we're going to click the Actions menu and select Columns. From the list on the left, we are going to, you can either click Homeroom and hit the right arrow, or if you just double click it, it throws it over there. Well, I didn't want that one. I wanted Homeroom. So we'll click on, double click Homeroom. It throws it over there on the right. And we are going to get rid of middle name and school to hide those columns. So again, you can double click middle name, it gets rid of it, and school, it gets rid of it. We're going to use the arrows on the right side to list the change or to change the order so that the grade level is the first one in the column. So you could click on that and hit up, or I call this the home button. You just click that one, it moves it all the way to the beginning. So we'll click apply, and as you can see, the grade level is over here on the left. Now we're going to group the list of students by homeroom by clicking the homeroom column and the control break, which is on the far right. So now you see a list of students that are all tied to Abram. Again, let me expand this so there's more records in here. So all the students are grouped into by homeroom, and then you can see homeroom here. What we're going to do now is get a list. We're going to sort each grouping by grade level, and then we're going to get a count of each homeroom. So the first thing we're going to do is sort by grade level and sort descending. So the seniors, then juniors, and so forth are listed. What we're going to do now is do an account of each student and in each homeroom. So we're going to, up here in the Actions menu, under the Format, we're going to click Aggregate. And we are going to select in the function, we want to count, and what count of what column? Well, we don't want to count of homeroom, we want to count of student numbers within each group. So if we select student number and apply at the end of each grouping, then you'll see that this class has 25 students. This class down here has 60 students. As I said earlier, the aggregate function within a grouping displays the count of each grouping. If there was no grouping, there would be a count of all student numbers at the very end of the report. And then once again, to save this report, you click Save Report under the Actions menu, give it a name specific to homeroom, a count of students by homeroom or something to that effect. We can also highlight data to call out data on a report based on a certain criteria. We can select a column, define the criteria, and choose a highlight color to highlight the fields on the report that meet the criteria you are defining. For example, you might want highlight fields with missing data or fields with data within a range of values. We're going to highlight data on the student grades report. We want to show all Fs that students are receiving. So on the Enterprise Reporting tab, we are going to select student grades. And again, we want Apple Grove High School. Let me expand this out. And on the report, we're going to open up the Actions menu. And under Format, we are going to select Highlight. On the highlight window, we're going to enter a name for the conditional formatting you are creating, such as F grades. If I can spell. And on the highlight type menu, we are going to select cell because we don't want the individual row. We just want the cell. For the background color option, we are going to select yellow. For the text color, we are going to select red. Under the highlight condition, we are going to select grade. And we want, you can type it or scroll for F, and then click Apply. And as you can see, all Fs within those cells are highlighted in yellow with text in red. Another function we can do on any of these data grid reports is to create a crosstab report or a pivot table showing aggregate information for the intersection of two or more fields. For example, we could create a pivot table from the student test report to show the average test scores by gender, or use the student grades report to create a pivot table of courses, teachers, and grades for a grade distribution report. So to create a pivot table of test scores by gender, we are going to click on Student Tests. And let's say we only want the test scores from the last 2 years. So on the test date column, we can select just the last 2 years. Let me again expand this down. Now, to create a pivot table of test scores by test score name and gender, we're going to go to the Actions, Format, and select Pivot option. So Actions, Format, down at the bottom, we'll select Pivot. So for the columns menu, we are going to select the test score name. For the row columns, we are going to select gender. For the functions menu, we want the average. And the average of what? The number score, correct? And then we want to put a label here. We're just going to call it, I don't know, average score. And then click Apply. And what you see now is an average score of females for all of the test scores, composite English, math, reading, so forth, and same with the males. Now we're going to use the pivot action to create a grade distribution report. What we're going to do is click on student grades, and to view only the current school year, we are going to go to the actions filter and then school year equals, and then in the drop down, we can select the current year and click apply. Let's expand this out again. Now to create a pivot table of grades by course and teacher, again, we're going to go to the actions format and select pivot. Actions, format, and select pivot. From the pivot column, we are going to select grade because we're looking for the grades. And in the rows, we're going to select course name. This time we want course name and teacher. So we can have this option here to collect add a row column. And this time we are going teacher name. So now we're looking for grades on each course taught by each teacher. And because we want a count of not all grades, but distinct grades under the function menu, we are going to select count distinct. And then for the count itself, we're going to select student number. So this is going to give us a distinct count of grades per student number by course and by teacher. So under the label, you could type whatever just to give it something. I'll just type in students and click apply. So now what you see is a pivot chart of all the courses taught by each teacher and the grades, the grade total count of each grade and each of those classes. Another thing we can do is create charts so that you can format each data grid in the report as, or each data grid report as a chart for data visualization. Then you can toggle back between the chart and the data grid views of the report. So let's practice creating a bar chart based on student demographic data grid report. So we're going to use the student demographic report to create a chart of the number of students in each grade level at Apple Grove High School. So let's click on the report, student demographic. And again, I need to expand this out. So we're going to select Apple Grove High School in the column heading. Then under the actions format, we are going to select chart. And your first option there is a bar chart. On the first label menu, we are going to select grade level. In the value, we are going to select student number. This will give us a count of the grade level and the student number. And that is with the function, the count function. So let's say we want to view it in ascending order, the number of students per grade level from lowest to highest. Now for the label, we are going to type in grade level. And then because we're getting a count of student number, we are going to say number of students. And then hit apply. And what you see now is a visualization that you see there are about 120 10th graders, 140-ish ninth graders, and so forth up to grade 12. And the view is descending. If you notice here, you can toggle back and forth to see the grid report by clicking on that chart, and it brings you back to your default view. And then clicking on the bar chart will bring you back to this. You can edit this. Maybe you want to see the most like grade or the most number of students per grade level first. You can click it by hitting edit chart. And instead of ascending, let's say we want to descending and click apply. Now you see it in reverse order. Next activity is a little advanced because it requires some SQL, but we can add calculated columns to our report to show aggregated calculations on the report. You can also create a new column that performs a calculation. For each row in the report, the added column will show the value of the calculation you used when you created the column. For example, use a calculated column to multiply two or more fields, or use a calculated column to substitute a different value for each value or range of values in a column. We do this by using the compute function under the actions menu and entering a SQL expression to define what that calculation is. So let's do this to filter the student grades report for all F grades plus all missing grades. We use the compute action to create a calculated field that displays the value F for the grade F and the value null for any missing grade. Then we're going to filter the report by the calculated field for all F or null values. So let's click on the student grades report. And to add a calculated field from the actions format, select compute. Let me expand this first. And you will see this computation window. We're going to use the default of new computation. Any calculated fields you create will appear in this menu. For the column heading, we're going to enter a label such as F or missing. This is what you are naming your column. In the computation expression field, this is where you would enter a SQL expression to do the calculation you want, such as case when T equals F, then display F. When T is null, then display null. And if you refer to the column, T in this instance is grade. So you're saying when the grade is F, display an F. When the grade is missing, then display null. Okay? And if you need, here are some SQL expressions that you could use in this computation. Um, there is a SQL reference you can refer to if you need some assistance. Then click apply. So now you see your F or missing, but nothing's there yet because we haven't filtered on that. So in our actions menu, let's go to filter, find the column you just created, F or missing. And then this time we're going to say the expression if F or missing is in F or null, excuse me, null. So now we're saying if it is an F or null, then display that. And we click apply. So now you see it displays F or null for any missing grades. For the last two activities, we're going to keep this stored grades report open. We're going to save and distribute our reports. You have many options for saving your customized reports and sharing reports with other users. You can save your report as a private or public report, as we discussed earlier. You can download the report in a variety of formats or email a report that you learned how to set up earlier in Chris's presentation. And you can save it as an HTML attachment. To save your report as a public report, you just basically click the Actions menu and Save Report. And you want to make sure you click Public when you apply this. You give your report a name, again, based upon any filtering that you have done, and click Apply. So we'll just say F or missing, just for giggles. And you apply. So now in your drop down, you see the saved report as it's been filtered, but you can always go back to the primary report. But now this is the F or missing uh, published report. You can also use the download option to export any report as a CSV file to use with Excel or another spreadsheet application, or as an email attachment or a PDF. When viewing your report, let's open up the Actions menu and click Download. Then in the download window, we'll select CSV or PDF if you choose. And it gives you a location to save your report. So click Save and it'll save it to a location. To email a report, you would click on Email, or I click on Download and then Email. And then in your To field, you type in a email address to send it to. You can CC people. And then click Send. All right, so we've covered all of the basic and a little advanced functions of enterprise reports. If you have any additional questions, our member districts can submit a case to us by emailing ps.support@metasolutions.net. I thank you for your time and have a good day.